My brother sent me a message saying, "Don't come to Dad's retirement party. He doesn't want you there," and Mom liked the message. I just replied, "Cool, I'll stop paying for the venue." Then 2 minutes later, the text message appeared on my phone at 8:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was sitting in my home office, reviewing quarterly projections for my consulting firm, when the notification lit up my screen. "Don't come to Dad's retirement party. He doesn't want you there." My brother Tyler's words sat there, blunt and cold. What made my stomach drop wasn't the message itself. It was seeing that small heart reaction underneath. Mom had liked it. I stared at those words for a full minute. 37 years old, and I still felt like that 12-year-old girl desperate for my family's approval. The one who never quite measured up to Tyler's athletic achievements or my younger sister Rachel's social butterfly charm. But I'd stopped begging for scraps of their attention years ago. My fingers moved across the keyboard before my brain caught up. Cool. I'll stop paying for the venue. Send. The typing indicator appeared almost instantly. Disappeared. Appeared again. My phone started ringing. Tyler's name flashed across the screen. I declined the call. He tried again. Declined. A text came through. "Wait, what do you mean?" Another one followed immediately. "Lily, answer your phone." I set my phone face down on my desk and returned to my spreadsheets. The device buzzed continuously for the next 20 minutes. Calls from Tyler. Calls from Mom. Even one from Rachel, which was surprising since we hadn't spoken in 6 months. I let every single one go to voicemail. The truth was simple. I'd offered to cover the venue costs for Dad's retirement party 3 months ago. He was retiring after 42 years as an electrical engineer, and Mom wanted to throw him a big celebration. The problem was their retirement savings were earmarked for their dream RV purchase. When Mom mentioned they might need to scale back the party plans, I'd volunteered to handle the venue. The Riverside Pavilion would be perfect, Mom had said during our phone call. But it's so expensive. "Let me take care of it," I'd offered. "Dad deserves a nice send-off." Mom had actually cried. "You're so generous, Lily. I don't know what we'd do without you." That conversation felt like it happened in a different lifetime. I'd put down a 50% deposit, $3,000, and the remaining balance of $3,000 was due 2 weeks before the event. The party was scheduled for Saturday, exactly 16 days away. I pulled up the venue's contact information and drafted an email to their events coordinator. The response came the next morning. Jessica, the coordinator, was apologetic but firm about their cancellation policy. I'd lose the deposit, but I wouldn't owe the remaining balance as long as I canceled before the 14-day deadline. I confirmed the cancellation in writing. My phone had accumulated 47 missed calls by Wednesday morning. I'd silenced it overnight, and apparently my family had staged a full-scale telecommunications assault. The voicemails ranged from confused to angry to outright hostile. Tyler's first message: "I don't understand what you're talking about. What venue?" Mom's second message: "Lily Marie Harrison, you call me back right now. This is ridiculous. Stop being so dramatic." Rachel's only message: "Seriously? You're going to ruin Dad's party because your feelings are hurt? Grow up." Dad hadn't called. That stung more than I wanted to admit. I made coffee, fed my cat Bernard, and headed to my office downtown. My consulting firm specialized in helping mid-sized businesses optimize their operational efficiency. I'd built it from nothing over the past 8 years, and we just landed our biggest client yet. I had actual problems to focus on, real challenges that didn't involve my family's perpetual dysfunction. My business partner Meredith knocked on my office door around 10. "You look terrible," she said, settling into the chair across from my desk. "Good morning to you too." "I'm serious. What's wrong?" I told her everything. Meredith had heard enough stories about my family over the years that nothing surprised her anymore. "Let me get this straight," she said when I finished. "They uninvited you from a party you're funding, and now they're mad that you're not funding it anymore? That about covers it. Your family is something else." She shook her head. "What are you going to do?" "Nothing. I canceled the venue. They can figure out their own arrangements." "They're still calling?" "Constantly." "Block them." I considered it. "Not yet. I want to see how this plays out." The calls continued throughout the day. I ignored all of them. By Thursday morning, a new pattern emerged. The messages shifted from angry to manipulative. Mom's voicemail: "Honey, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Tyler says he told you not to come, but that's not what your father wants. You know how Tyler gets sometimes. He was probably just upset about something else. Please call me back so we can sort this out. Interesting. So now Tyler had gone rogue, acting without parental approval. I didn't believe that for a second, but I appreciated the creativity. Tyler's text, "Mom is really upset. She's been crying all morning. Dad doesn't even know what's happening. Can we please just talk about this like adults?" Rachel's text, "You're being selfish. This isn't about you. It's about Dad. Stop making everything about your feelings." That one made me laugh out loud. The irony was apparently lost on her. I drafted a group text to all three of them. I was told I wasn't welcome at Dad's party. I respected that boundary and canceled my financial contribution. If there was a misunderstanding, Tyler should clarify what he meant. Either way, the venue cancellation stands. You have 2 weeks to make alternative arrangements. I wish Dad a wonderful retirement celebration. The response was immediate and explosive. "Tyler, this is ridiculous. Rachel, you're unbelievable. Mom, we need to talk about this face to face." I muted the conversation and got back to work. Friday afternoon, my father finally called. I stared at his name on my screen for a long moment before answering. "Hi, Dad." "Lily." His voice was tired. "Your mother says there's some confusion about the party." "No confusion on my end. Tyler said you didn't want me there. I accepted that and withdrew my financial support. Pretty straightforward." Silence stretched between us. "I never said I didn't want you there," he finally said. "Did you tell Tyler to say it?" "No." "Did you know he was going to say it?" Another pause. "Your mother and I were talking. We were concerned about potential conflict at the party." There it was. The truth, delivered in his characteristic diplomatic way. "Conflict from whom?" I asked, though I already knew. "Tyler and Rachel have some concerns." "About what, specifically?" "They feel like you've been distant from the family. That you think you're better than us now that your business is successful." I actually laughed. "Dad, I call Mom every week. I invited everyone to Thanksgiving at my house. Tyler told me he had other plans, and Rachel said she was too busy. You and Mom said you were visiting Aunt Carol. I've tried to maintain relationships with all of you. I know you're busy with work. This isn't about work. This is about Tyler and Rachel being upset that I'm not available to cater to their needs anymore. That's not fair. Isn't it? When's the last time Tyler called me for anything other than asking for money or business advice? When's the last time Rachel acknowledged my existence except to criticize my life choices?" Dad sighed. "Family is complicated. It doesn't have to be. I offered to pay for your venue because I wanted to celebrate your retirement. Tyler told me I wasn't welcome. Those are facts. Everything else is just noise. The party won't be the same without you there. Then you should have made sure I was actually welcome before letting Tyler speak for you." "Lily, I need to go, Dad. I have a meeting. Enjoy your retirement." I hung up before he could respond. My hands were shaking. I'd never spoken to my father like that before. Part of me felt guilty. The rest of me felt liberated. Meredith appeared in my doorway again. "You okay?" "Getting there." "Good. Because the Collins account needs your attention, and I need you focused." Work was my refuge for the next week. The Collins account was indeed demanding, requiring long hours and creative problem solving. I threw myself into it completely. My phone continued buzzing with family calls and texts, but I'd moved it to a drawer and checked it only once a day. The messages evolved. Mom tried guilt. Rachel tried anger. Tyler tried reason. Dad sent a single text, "We should talk before Saturday." I didn't respond to any of them. 10 days before the party, Rachel showed up at my office. My assistant Brenda buzzed me. "Your sister is here. She doesn't have an appointment. Tell her I'm in a meeting. She says she'll wait." I rubbed my temples. "Fine. Give me 5 minutes, then send her in." Rachel swept into my office like she owned it, her designer handbag swinging from her shoulder. She'd always had expensive taste despite working a series of part-time retail jobs. "Nice office," she said, glancing around. "Must be doing well for yourself. What do you want, Rachel?" "Mom sent me to talk sense into you." "I'm listening." She settled into the chair across from my desk. "This whole thing is out of control. You're punishing the entire family because of one text message." "I'm not punishing anyone. Tyler told me I wasn't welcome. I respected that. He was just upset. You know how he gets. Actually, I don't. Because Tyler and I barely speak anymore. When's the last time you and I had a real conversation? Rachel waved her hand dismissively. We're all busy. That's not the point. What is the point? Dad's retirement party is important. You're ruining it. I'm not ruining anything. You have 2 weeks to find a new venue. Plenty of places available if you're willing to do the work. Do you have any idea how hard it is to find a decent venue on short notice? Then you should have thought about that before uninviting me. Rachel's expression hardened. You've always been like this. Cold. Calculating. You can't just let things go. I let things go all the time. I let go of the fact that nobody came to my business launch party. I let go of Tyler borrowing $5,000 and never paying it back. I let go of you telling everyone I was stuck up for going to graduate school. I let go of 1,000 small cuts because they were family, and that's what you do. But this was a choice. You all made a choice about where I stood in this family, and I'm respecting that choice. We're your family. Family doesn't uninvite you from important events and then get mad when you stop subsidizing their lives. Rachel stood abruptly. You're going to regret this. Maybe. But I'll regret it on my own terms. She left without another word, her heels clicking angrily across the floor. Meredith appeared moments later. That looked intense. Just family being family. You're handling this better than I would. I've had a lot of practice. The weekend before the party, Mom called from a number I didn't recognize. I answered without thinking. Lily, thank goodness. I've been trying to reach you all week. I've been working. We need to resolve this situation. The party is in a week. I'm aware. I've been calling venues all week. Everything is either booked or too expensive. The Riverside Pavilion was perfect, and now we have nothing. That sounds stressful. Lily, please. Can't we work something out? Maybe you could talk to the venue, see if they'd let us rebook? I could. But I won't. Why are you being so stubborn? Mom, do you remember liking Tyler's message? The one where he told me not to come? Silence. I saw it, I continued. You actively endorsed my exclusion. So no, I'm not going to fix this problem for you. I didn't mean anything by that. I just clicked the heart emoji. It was automatic. Nothing about that was automatic. You made a choice. Now you're living with the consequences. This is about more than a party venue. This is about family. You're right. It is about family. And families don't treat each other the way you've all treated me. I'm done pretending everything is fine when it's not. Your father is heartbroken. Then he should have stood up for me when it mattered. Lily, I have to go. I hung up and blocked the unknown number. Then I systematically blocked all my family members' regular numbers. The relief was immediate. 4 days before the party, a letter arrived at my home. My father's handwriting on the envelope. I almost threw it away unopened, but curiosity won. Dear Lily, your mother asked me to write this. I'm not good with words the way you are, but I'll try. I'm sorry about how everything happened with the party. Tyler was out of line with his message. I should have addressed it immediately instead of trying to smooth things over. You deserved better. The truth is, I've watched you become successful and independent, and I'm proud of you. But I think that success has created distance between you and the rest of the family. Tyler and Rachel feel like you judge them for not achieving the same level of professional success. Your mother and I sometimes feel like we're not important to you anymore because you don't need us the way you used to. I'm not saying any of this justifies what happened. I'm just trying to explain where things went wrong. We found a different venue for the party. It's not as nice as the Riverside Pavilion, but it will work. The celebration will happen regardless. What won't be the same as having my daughter there. After 42 years of work, I'm starting a new chapter. I'd hope to have all my children present for that transition. But I understand if that's not possible now. I want you to know that you are welcome. You are always welcome. I love you, and I'm proud of the woman you've become. Dad, I read the letter 3 times. Each time, different sentences caught my attention. The acknowledgement. The explanation. The invitation. The love. I set it on my kitchen counter and stared at it while drinking my coffee the next morning. Bernard jumped up and sat directly on top of it, which felt appropriate. 2 days before the party, I unblocked my father's number and sent him a text. Thank you for the letter. I appreciate your honesty. I'll think about everything you said. His response came an hour later. That's all I can ask. Love you, kiddo. The morning of the party, I woke up at 6. Bernard demanded breakfast, completely indifferent to my emotional turmoil. I fed him, made coffee, and sat on my back porch watching the sunrise. My father's letter had been circling through my mind for days. He'd acknowledged the problem. He'd apologized, in his way. But had anything actually changed? I thought about Tyler, who'd felt entitled to exclude me and then outraged when I enforced that boundary. I thought about Rachel, who'd called me selfish for refusing to finance an event I'd been banned from. I thought about Mom, whose automatic heart emoji had revealed her true feelings more than any conversation could. And I thought about Dad. Quiet, diplomatic Dad, who loved all his children but had spent years trying to keep peace instead of demanding better behavior from anyone. My phone sat on the patio table, silent. I'd unblocked everyone the night before. No new messages had come through. The party started at 4. It was currently 8 in the morning. I had 8 hours to decide. Meredith called at 9. How are you doing? Trying to figure that out. Are you going? I don't know. Do you want to go? I considered the question. I want my father to have a good retirement party. I want to celebrate his years of hard work. But I don't want to pretend everything is fine when it's not. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. Aren't they? Go to the party. Congratulate your dad. Leave early if you need to. But don't let Tyler and Rachel's bad behavior rob you of this moment with your father. When did you become so wise? I've always been wise. You're just usually too stubborn to listen. I laughed despite everything. Fair point. After we hung up, I sat with the decision for another hour. Finally, I went inside and opened my closet. I had a navy dress that would be appropriate for the occasion. I laid it out on my bed. At 3:30, I was showering. At 3:50, I was dressed. At 4:15, I was parking outside the community center where they'd managed to book a last-minute space. The parking lot was full. Through the windows, I could see people gathering inside. I recognized relatives I hadn't seen in years. Dad's colleagues from work. Family friends. I sat in my car for 10 minutes, gripping the steering wheel. This was harder than I'd anticipated. Finally, I got out and walked to the entrance. The community center wasn't the Riverside Pavilion, but they'd decorated it nicely. Banners congratulating Dad on his retirement hung along the walls. Tables were set up with food and drinks. A slideshow of photos from his career played on a screen. Mom saw me first. Her expression cycled through surprise, relief, and something that might have been guilt. She started toward me, but I moved past her, scanning the room for Dad. He was near the back, talking with some former colleagues. When he saw me, his whole face lit up. That expression made the entire uncomfortable situation worth it. Lily. He pulled me into a hug. You came. Of course I came. It's your day. We talked for a few minutes about his retirement plans. He and Mom were indeed buying the RV. They wanted to see national parks, visit old friends scattered across the country, maybe spend a winter somewhere warm. That sounds perfect, I told him. You've earned it. Tyler appeared at my elbow. Lily. Can we talk? Not now. Please. Just 5 minutes. I excused myself from Dad and followed Tyler to a quiet corner. I'm sorry, he said immediately. I was completely out of line with that text. I shouldn't have said what I said, and I definitely shouldn't have presumed to speak for Dad. Why did you? He ran his hand through his hair, looking uncomfortable. Honestly? I was jealous. You've built this successful business, you're financially stable, you have your life together. Meanwhile, I'm still figuring things out at 34. When Mom was talking about how generous you were to pay for the venue, Rachel made some comment about you always needing to be the hero. It got under my skin. So you decided to hurt me. I decided to prove that you weren't as essential as you thought you were. He grimaced. Which is a terrible reason to do anything, and I realized that about 2 seconds after you said you'd cancel the venue. You thought I was bluffing. I thought you'd never actually follow through. That you'd cave because family is family, and that's what you always do. I used to do that. Not anymore. I see that now. He met my eyes. I really am sorry, Lily. What I did was wrong. I hurt you, and I potentially ruined Dad's party because I was being petty and jealous. I studied my brother. He looked genuinely remorseful, but I'd seen Tyler look remorseful before. Usually right before asking for another favor. I accept your apology, I said carefully. But things can't go back to how they were. What do you mean? I mean, I'm not going to be the family bank anymore. I'm not going to drop everything to solve everyone's problems. I'm not going to accept being treated like an ATM with occasional sister privileges. Tyler flinched. That's not how I see you. Maybe not consciously. But that's how I've been treated. How can I fix this? You can start by actually building a relationship with me that doesn't involve asking for money or advice. Call me sometime just to talk. Remember my birthday without Facebook reminding you. Show up for things that matter to me. I can do that. We'll see. Rachel approached us, looking uncertain. Can I talk to you? Tyler excused himself, leaving us alone. I'm not good at apologies, Rachel started. That's true. She almost smiled. I was awful to you. The things I said were unfair and mean. Yes, they were. I don't have a good excuse. I was being defensive because I knew Tyler had screwed up, and I didn't want to admit that our family dynamic is messed up. It is messed up. I know. She twisted her hands together. I've been thinking a lot this week. About how we treat you. About how I've treated you. You're my sister, and I've been terrible to you for years. What changed? Dad wrote me a letter too. He said that he was ashamed of how his children had behaved, and that if we lost you over this, it would be the biggest failure of his life. It made me realize how close we came to permanently damaging our relationship over a stupid party. The party wasn't the problem. It was just the catalyst. I know. The problem is that we've taken you for granted. We've treated your success as something to resent instead of something to celebrate. We've made you feel like you have to choose between having a relationship with us and having boundaries. That's a pretty accurate summary. I want to do better. I know I need to earn back your trust. I'm willing to put in the work if you'll let me. I looked at my sister, really looked at her. Underneath the defensiveness and attitude, I could see genuine regret. Okay, I said. But the same rules apply to you that I told Tyler. I need actual relationship, not just family obligation. Deal. Mom found me an hour later. The party was in full swing, and Dad was giving a speech thanking everyone for coming. Can we step outside? She asked. We walked out to the patio area behind the community center. The evening air was cool. I owe you an apology, Mom said. A real one. I liked Tyler's message because I was mad at you. Why were you mad at me? Because you don't need me anymore. Her voice cracked. You've built this whole life without any of us. You're successful and independent, and you don't call asking for advice or help. I felt useless. Mom, I call you every week. You call to check in, not because you need anything. There's a difference. I stared at her. You're upset because I don't need you to solve my problems? I know it sounds ridiculous when you say it like that. It sounds like you preferred it when I was struggling. No. She looked horrified. That's not what I mean. I'm proud of your success. I just miss being needed. I still need you. Just in different ways. I need a mother who's proud of me, who celebrates my achievements instead of resenting them. I need family who shows up for me the way I've shown up for them. You're right. I've been so focused on what I lost that I didn't appreciate what we have now. I'm not a child anymore, Mom. Our relationship has to evolve. I understand that now. I'm sorry it took almost losing you to figure it out. We stood in silence for a moment. The venue cancellation, Mom said quietly. That was smart. It forced us all to confront what we'd done. I wasn't trying to be smart. I was hurt and angry. But you were also right. We had no business excluding you and then expecting you to pay for everything. That was wrong on every level. Yes, it was. Can we move forward from this? Eventually. But it's going to take time to rebuild trust. I understand. I'll do whatever it takes. I went back inside to find Dad being surrounded by well-wishers. He looked happier than I'd seen him in years. When he caught my eye, he mouthed thank you. I stayed for another 2 hours, making conversation with relatives and listening to stories about Dad's career. Tyler introduced me to his girlfriend, someone I'd never met before. Rachel asked about my business and actually listened to my answers. It wasn't perfect. Years of dysfunction wouldn't disappear in one evening. But it was a start. I left around 8, hugging Dad goodbye and promising to call him during the week. Thank you for coming, he said. It meant everything to me. I'm glad I came. Driving home, I felt lighter than I had in weeks. I'd set boundaries. I'd enforced consequences. I'd refused to accept unacceptable behavior. And somehow, paradoxically, that had opened the door to potentially healthier relationships. Bernard greeted me at the door, completely unimpressed by my emotional journey. I fed him dinner and collapsed on my couch. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. Proud of you, kiddo. Not just for your success, but for standing up for yourself. I should have taught you that years ago. I smiled and typed back. Better late than never. Love you, Dad. Update 1, 2 weeks later, the fallout from the party continued in unexpected ways. Tyler called me 3 days after the event, not to ask for anything, but to tell me about a job interview he had lined up. We talked for 40 minutes about his career goals and anxieties about making a change. Thanks for listening, he said at the end. I know I haven't been the best brother. You called just to talk. That's a good start. Rachel texted me a week later with a photo of a painting she'd completed. She'd been taking art classes, something I didn't know about. This is beautiful, I replied. How long have you been painting? About 6 months. I was afraid to tell anyone because it's not practical or profitable. But I really love it. We had a long conversation about creativity and passion versus practical career choices. It was the most genuine interaction we'd had in years. Mom called twice a week, at first apologizing repeatedly until I asked her to stop. I forgave you, Mom. Now we move forward. How do we do that? We build something new. Something healthier. She started asking about my work projects, actually engaging with the details instead of just nodding along. She told me stories about her own life, her friendships, her interests outside of being a mother. I realized I'd never really known Mom as a person, only as a parent. Dad and I talked about his RV plans. I helped him research routes and campgrounds. He sent me photos of the vehicle they'd purchased, a beautiful silver trailer that would be their home for extended trips. First stop is the Grand Canyon, he told me. Then we're heading to Arizona for a month. That sounds incredible. You should visit us somewhere along the route. Take a long weekend, meet us at a national park. I'd love that. The change wasn't dramatic or sudden. It was gradual, built on consistent small actions. Tyler kept calling weekly. Rachel shared more of her art. Mom asked about my life instead of just waiting for her turn to talk. Dad sent me postcards from his practice trips around the state. But there were still moments of tension. Family patterns don't disappear overnight. 3 weeks after the party, Tyler called asking if I could help him with a loan. How much? I asked warily. $5,000. I know I still owe you from before, but this new job requires me to relocate, and I don't have enough saved for the deposit and moving costs. I felt the old familiar pull. The instinct to say yes, to be the family solution. I can't lend you money, Tyler. Silence on the other end. But I can help you create a budget and figure out alternatives, I continued. Maybe you can negotiate a signing bonus. Maybe the company offers relocation assistance. Let's look at all the options before assuming you need a loan. Oh. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. We spent an hour going through his finances. He did qualify for relocation assistance through his new employer, which would cover most of his expenses. He just hadn't known to ask. I didn't even think of that, he said. Thanks, Lily. That's what family does. They help each other solve problems, not just throw money at them. I'm starting to understand that. Rachel had her own test moment. She called asking if I could promote her art through my business connections. I don't think my corporate clients are the right audience for your work, I told her honestly. Oh. She sounded disappointed. I thought maybe you could help. I can help, just not that way. Let me introduce you to some people I know in the local art scene. They can give you better guidance about galleries and shows. Really? You'd do that? Of course. Your art deserves to be seen. It just needs the right platform. I connected Rachel with 2 gallery owners and an art teacher who ran community workshops. One of them offered to include her pieces in a group show. This is amazing, Rachel gushed when she called to tell me. I never would have gotten this opportunity without you. You got it because your work is good. I just made an introduction. Mom's moment came during a phone call about Thanksgiving plans. We're going to be in New Mexico in November, she said. So we won't be able to host Thanksgiving this year. That's fine. You should enjoy your travels. But it's tradition. We always have Thanksgiving together. Mom, traditions can change. You and Dad should experience your trip without worrying about making it home for one specific day. Are you sure? Completely sure. We can celebrate when you get back. What will you do for Thanksgiving? I'll figure something out. Maybe I'll host for friends. Maybe I'll volunteer at a shelter. I'll be fine. You've really become independent. Is that okay with you? A pause. Yes. It is. I'm adjusting to it. Take your time. We're all adjusting. 4 weeks after the party, I had dinner with all 3 siblings at a restaurant. No parents, just us. Tyler suggested it, which surprised me. We need to talk about how we move forward as siblings, he said once we'd ordered. What do you mean? Rachel asked. I mean, we've been operating as individual people who happen to be related instead of as a family unit. That needs to change. I agree, I said. But what does that look like? We spent the next hour discussing expectations and boundaries. Tyler admitted he'd been immature and selfish. Rachel acknowledged her tendency to lash out when feeling defensive. I owned my pattern of withdrawing instead of addressing problems directly. We're all kind of a mess, Rachel said. True, Tyler agreed. But we're trying to be less messy. That's all we can do, I added. Keep trying. We established some ground rules. No asking each other for money without a written agreement and repayment plan. No making assumptions about availability or willingness to help. No speaking for each other or making decisions that affect the group without consultation. And we celebrate each other's wins, Rachel said. No more jealousy or resentment. Agreed, Tyler said. Agreed, I echoed. It felt good. Not perfect, but good. Like we were building something real instead of just going through familial motions. The real test came 6 weeks after the party. Dad called me, his voice tight with stress. We have a problem with the RV. My stomach dropped. What kind of problem? Engine trouble. We're stuck in Nevada, and the repair is going to cost $8,000. Our travel fund can't cover it. Every instinct screamed at me to offer money. To solve the problem immediately. To be the family hero. Instead, I took a breath. That's frustrating. What are your options? We're not sure. We might need to cut the trip short and come home. Or you could get the RV repaired and adjust the rest of your travel budget. You've been planning this trip for years. We can't afford both. Have you called your insurance? Sometimes RV policies cover mechanical breakdowns. And some credit cards offer travel protection. Silence. Then, I didn't think of that. Let me help you research options. Don't make any decisions until we've explored everything. We spent an hour on the phone going through his insurance policy and credit card benefits. Turned out his RV insurance did cover major mechanical failures, though with a deductible. Between the insurance coverage and adjusting some of their planned expenses, they could manage the repair and continue their trip. I almost called you first thing and asked for money, Dad admitted. I know. Old habits. For both of us. I almost offered before you asked. But you didn't. No. Because that's not what you needed. You needed help solving the problem, not someone to solve it for you. When did you get so wise? When I stopped letting people treat me like an ATM. He laughed. Fair point. Thank you, Lily. For everything. The RV got repaired, and my parents continued their journey. They sent photos from Nevada, Utah, and eventually the Grand Canyon. Dad standing at the rim, arms spread wide, looking happier than I'd ever seen him. Tyler got his new job and moved to Portland. He called from the road to tell me about the drive, the scenery, his nervous excitement about starting fresh. Rachel had her first gallery showing. I flew to her city to attend, and she cried when she saw me walk in. You came, she whispered. Of course I came. This is important. 3 of her pieces sold that night. Watching her face light up with pride and joy made every difficult conversation, every boundary setting, every moment of standing firm worth it. Mom and Dad returned from their trip in early December. We all gathered for a belated Thanksgiving dinner at their house. The dynamics were different now. Better. Tyler brought his girlfriend Stephanie. Rachel brought a date she'd been seeing. I came alone but didn't feel alone. During dinner, Dad raised his glass. I want to make a toast. This year has been one of change. Retirement, new adventures, and some hard conversations. But those hard conversations led to something important. They led to all of us being honest with each other. To setting boundaries and respecting them. to building relationships based on who we are now, not who we used to be. He looked at me. Lily, your courage to stand up for yourself changed our family. It forced us to look at our behavior and do better. I'm grateful for that, even though it wasn't easy. To Lily, Tyler said, raising his glass. To Lily, everyone echoed. I felt tears prick my eyes. To family, I said. The messy, complicated, imperfect family we're choosing to be. We clinked glasses and drank. Later that evening, after dinner was cleared and dessert consumed, Mom pulled me aside. I've been working with a therapist, she said quietly. Really? After everything that happened, I realized I had some things to work through. About identity and purpose and letting my children be adults. It's helping. I'm proud of you, Mom. I'm proud of you too. I should have said that more often over the years. You're saying it now. That's what matters. We hugged, and for the first time in a long time, it felt genuine and warm. Driving home that night, I reflected on everything that had changed. A single text message had detonated years of dysfunction, forcing everyone to confront uncomfortable truths. The explosion could have destroyed us. Instead, it cleared the way for something healthier to grow. My family would never be perfect. We'd have setbacks and conflicts. Old patterns would resurface occasionally. But we were trying. Actually trying to be better to each other. That was more than I'd had 6 weeks ago. My phone buzzed. A group text from Tyler with a photo of all of us at dinner. Best Thanksgiving ever. Love you guys. Rachel replied with heart emojis. Dad sent, grateful for my family. Mom added, we're blessed. I smiled and typed, love you all. And I meant it. Update 2, 6 months later. Spring arrived with unexpected warmth. My business was thriving. Meredith and I had hired 2 new consultants and were considering expanding to a second office. Life was good. My family relationships had stabilized into something I could only describe as healthy. We talked regularly without crisis or drama. Tyler paid back half of his old loan without being asked. Rachel invited me to her art studio to show me her new collection. Mom and Dad sent postcards from their travels, now genuinely enjoying their retirement without guilt or obligation. But growth is rarely linear. The first challenge came in March. Tyler called late on a Thursday night. I got offered a partnership opportunity. That's amazing. It requires a $50,000 investment. My stomach tightened. Okay. I don't have that kind of money. I've been trying to figure out how to make it work, and I keep coming back to asking you. Here it was. The test I've been dreading. Tell me about the opportunity, I said carefully. He explained the business model, a tech startup focused on sustainable energy solutions. He'd be one of 4 founding partners. The investment would give him equity and a role in leadership. It sounds legitimate, I said when he finished. But I can't give you $50,000. I know. I wasn't asking for a gift. I was thinking maybe a loan with a formal contract and interest. Tyler, I love you. But I'm not going to be your bank, even with a contract. Silence. However, I continued, I can help you explore other options. Have you looked into small business loans? What about finding an investor? Does the startup have any venture capital connections? I haven't really explored those options. Let's do that together. I can review your business plan, help you prepare a pitch, connect you with some people who might be interested in investing. But my money isn't on the table. Because you don't trust me. Because mixing family and large sums of money rarely ends well, even with the best intentions. If this opportunity is solid, you'll find funding. I'll help you find it, but I won't be it. He was quiet for a long moment. Okay. I understand. Will you really help me with the other stuff? Absolutely. Send me the business plan tomorrow, and we'll start working on it this weekend. We spent the next month refining his pitch and connecting him with potential investors. Tyler eventually secured funding from a venture capital firm interested in sustainable energy. He called me the day the deal closed, ecstatic. I did it. Without family money. You did. I'm proud of you. Thank you for not just giving me the money. This feels better, earning it on my own merit. That was always the point. Rachel's challenge came in April. She called crying, something rare for my typically composed sister. I lost my job. What happened? The store closed. Corporate decision. All locations in the state are shutting down. I'm sorry. That's terrible. I don't know what to do. I can't afford my rent on unemployment. I was thinking maybe I could move in with you for a few months while I figure things out. The old me would have said yes immediately. The new me paused. Rachel, I love you. But I don't think us living together is a good idea. Why not? I wouldn't be in your way. I'd help with rent and utilities once I found a job. It's not about logistics. It's about maintaining healthy boundaries. We've worked hard to build a better relationship. Living together could complicate that. So you're just going to let me be homeless? You're not going to be homeless. You have options. Let's figure them out. We spent the next several hours on the phone. I helped her review her finances, identify essential versus non-essential expenses, and create a job search strategy. I connected her with a recruiter I knew who specialized in her field. I also suggested she consider getting a roommate or moving to a less expensive apartment temporarily. But I love my apartment, she protested. Sometimes we have to make temporary sacrifices for long-term stability. Your apartment isn't worth going into debt or damaging our relationship. She was frustrated with me for several days, barely responding to texts. But she found a roommate through a colleague and got 2 job offers within 3 weeks. She accepted a position at a boutique gallery that actually paid better than her retail job. When she called to tell me, her voice was different. Stronger. I was mad at you for not letting me move in. I know. But you were right. I needed to solve this myself. And the job I got is actually better than what I had before. If I just moved in with you, I would have settled for whatever came along instead of really searching. You're capable of more than you give yourself credit for. I'm starting to see that. Mom had her moment in May. She called from Wyoming, where she and Dad were visiting Yellowstone. We're thinking about selling the house. I almost dropped my phone. What? We love traveling? The RV lifestyle suits us. Why maintain a house we're barely using? Where would you live when you're not traveling? We could get a small condo or apartment. Something low maintenance. Use the equity from the house to fund more adventures and have a better financial cushion. That's a big decision. I know. That's why I'm calling. I wanted your opinion. The old mom would have announced the decision and expected support. The new mom was actually asking for input. What does Dad think? He's open to it but wants to make sure we're not being impulsive. Are you? She laughed. Maybe a little. But also, we've been talking about what we want our retirement to look like. We don't want to spend it maintaining a 4-bedroom house and yard. We want to explore and experience things. Then you should do it. Sell the house. Buy something small that serves your actual needs. Live the life you want. You don't think we're being foolish? I think you're being intentional about your happiness. That's the opposite of foolish. What about holidays? Where would everyone gather? We'll figure it out. Maybe we rotate hosting. Maybe we rent a cabin somewhere. Maybe we create new traditions that don't revolve around a specific house. When did you become so flexible? When I realized that holding on to how things used to be prevents us from enjoying how things could be. They sold the house in June. I helped them sort through decades of belongings, deciding what to keep, donate, or discard. Tyler and Rachel came to help with the big moving weekend. We found old photo albums, forgotten toys from our childhood, report cards, and art projects our parents had saved. Tyler discovered his high school basketball trophies in the attic. I can't believe they kept all this stuff, he said. They were proud of you, I pointed out. Rachel found a box of her old art, pieces she'd created as a teenager and thought were lost. Look at this, she said, holding up a watercolor. I was actually pretty good even back then. You were, Mom agreed. We always knew you had talent. But you never encouraged me to pursue it. We wanted you to be practical. We were wrong about that. You should have been encouraged to follow your passion. The honesty was refreshing. No defensiveness, just acknowledgement. We spent the weekend sharing memories, laughing about old family stories, and occasionally crying over bittersweet moments. It felt like a completion of sorts. The end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Dad found me in his office late Sunday afternoon. I was packing up his bookshelves. I want to tell you something, he said. I'm listening. When Tyler sent you that text about the party, I was ashamed. Not because of what he said, but because I'd created an environment where he thought that behavior was acceptable. I'd spent years trying to keep peace instead of addressing problems. I'd enabled bad behavior from all of us. Dad, let me finish. You standing up for yourself was the best thing that could have happened to this family. It forced us to examine how we treated each other. It made us better. I'm grateful for your strength, even though it came at a cost to you. The cost was worth it. I'm proud of the woman you are. Not just your professional success, but your character. Your willingness to set boundaries while still leaving the door open for reconciliation. That took courage. I learned it from watching you, actually. How so? You always believed people could be better. You gave second chances. You just needed to pair that optimism with accountability. We all did. He hugged me tightly. I love you, kiddo. I love you too, Dad. By the end of June, my parents were settled into a small 2-bedroom condo that required minimal maintenance. They used it as a home base between trips, a place to rest and regroup before the next adventure. Tyler's business was growing. He called regularly to update me on progress and occasionally ask for advice. The dynamic was different now. He valued my opinion but made his own decisions. Rachel's art was gaining recognition. She'd been featured in 2 regional publications and had standing commissions from several collectors. She called to share victories and frustrations, treating me like a sister instead of a solution. In July, we all gathered for a weekend at a lake house we'd rented. No special occasion, just family time. Stephanie, Tyler's girlfriend, fit in perfectly. Rachel's partner Jason was quiet but kind. We spent the days swimming, cooking together, and playing board games that got way too competitive. One evening, we sat around a fire pit watching the sunset over the water. Remember when we all hated each other? Rachel said suddenly. We didn't hate each other, Tyler protested. We didn't like each other very much, I corrected. There, he conceded. What changed? Stephanie asked. We all looked at each other. Lily stopped accepting unacceptable behavior, Mom said. And we had to decide whether we wanted her in our lives or not. It wasn't that simple, I said. Wasn't it? Dad asked. You drew a line. We could either respect it or lose you. We chose respect. Eventually, Tyler added with a laugh. After some very expensive lessons. The best lessons usually are, I said. I'm glad we figured it out, Rachel said. I like us better now. Me too, Tyler agreed. Me too, I said. Mom raised her glass of lemonade. To second chances and hard conversations. To boundaries and respect, Dad added. To family, I said. Whatever form it takes. We clinked our glasses together, the sound mixing with the crackling fire and lapping water. Later that night, I walked down to the dock alone. The stars were spectacular, the kind you never see in the city. Bernard would have loved this place, I thought, making a mental note to bring him next time. My phone buzzed. A message in our family group chat. Tyler, thanks for organizing this weekend, Lily. Exactly what we all needed. Rachel, agreed. Let's make it an annual thing. Mom, I'm so grateful for all of you. Dad, blessed beyond measure. I smiled and typed back, same time next year. I'll handle the booking. Tyler, how much do we owe you? Me, split 4 ways. I'll send you the details. Rachel, look at us being functional. The conversation continued, silly and warm and exactly what a family chat should be. I sat on the dock reading their messages, feeling content in a way I hadn't experienced in years. The path from that first text message to this moment hadn't been straight or easy. There had been pain, anger, hard conversations, and uncomfortable truths. But there had also been growth, forgiveness, and genuine change. My family wasn't perfect. We still had moments of friction and misunderstanding. But we were trying. Actually trying to do better, be better, treat each other better. And in the end, that's all any of us can really do. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say no. Setting boundaries doesn't mean building walls, it means creating space for healthier relationships to grow. When we stand up for ourselves with courage and clarity, we give others the chance to rise to meet us. And when they do, when they choose to respect our worth and work toward genuine connection, that's when real family begins. Not the family bound by obligation and old patterns, but the family we consciously choose to be, together, flawed, and forever learning to love each other better.